Now, first of all, I do want to say Happy May the 4th to everybody, and to also say that originally I was going to do a fun review of Star Wars A New Hope today, but something occurred to me both while working on that review and yesterday in a discussion on my Discord server, and that is one of the things that really bugs me about the new sequel trilogy, and The Last Jedi in particular, and that is diversity. And no, by no means am I against diversity in Star Wars. It only makes sense that if humans existed long ago in a distant galaxy that they'd come in all shapes, sizes, and colors like they do here on Earth right now. So by all means, find the best actor or actress for a particular role and put them in it. It really shouldn't matter what they look like one way or the other as long as they fit the role. And to be completely honest with you here, and this might sound bad, but I don't care what the human characters in Star Wars look like. It's maybe one of the least interesting aspects of Star Wars to me, but one of the best and coolest aspects of Star Wars, and one of the things that captured my imagination as a kid, was the alien characters. And though I think it's fine and great that the human characters are more diversified, again, it makes sense that we'd see different looking humans in a galaxy far, far away. What happened to giving aliens actual roles in these movies? Because one of the things I really enjoyed and appreciated about the prequels, for example, is at least the attempt on George Lucas's part to give us actual alien characters that had speaking lines and parts to play in the movie. And I know Jar Jar Binks is a controversial character to say the least, and I've never understood why Lucas made one of the first all-CG characters in the history of film so, shall we say, cartoon-like, as if to oddly highlight the fact that he was essentially a cartoon, instead of making him at least a bit more grounded in an effort to make him feel real. But at the very least, an effort was made to give us a new alien main character, and throughout the prequels, our heroes are constantly running into other alien characters with parts to play in the movie, not just being 100% background filler. On the other hand, though, we hardly get any aliens at all in the sequels that aren't completely background characters. The Last Jedi in particular, excluding Snoke, who looks about as human as you can without being human, excluding of course all his messed up features, is sorely lacking in alien characters that have any real part to play in the story. And one of the biggest alien characters introduced in The Force Awakens, that being Maz Kanata, is reduced to a 30-second scene where she points our heroes in the right direction and is never seen again. In other words, they felt since they made such a big deal over her in Episode 7, that they had to give her something to do in Episode 8, and that was the best they could come up with. But seriously, outside of Snoke, Maz Kanata, and poor Chewbacca who got left to play with porgs most of the movie, how many aliens have speaking lines in The Last Jedi? How many aliens actually do something besides just stand there in the background, or have very small, insignificant parts to play, such as the caretakers at the First Jedi Temple? How many are more than just the butt of a poor joke? And the more I think about it, the more it makes me sad that those creating Star Wars these days are more concerned about how many different looking human main characters we can cram in there, and not worried about how many truly unique alien characters we can get in there. And sure, I understand, they don't want to make another Jar Jar Binks that is hated by the fans. But then I look at Chewbacca, one of the most beloved characters in all of Star Wars, and we can't understand a single word or roar he's ever said. And that's probably one of the things that makes him so endearing. His uniqueness, the fact that he's so very much unlike us, is what makes him great. But instead of endearing new characters, we get Vice Admiral Holdo, who tells everyone to just cling on to hope while keeping a fairly decent plan to save them all, at least in the context of the story, to herself, thus causing a mutiny. And if they'd only made Holdo, say, some strange alien that comes from a very authoritarian species that always refuses to share information with their subordinates, you could have both explained one of the weakest elements of the movie better, and gave real tension and drama between Poe, the hotshot pilot, and this very strict and rigid military leader. And I know some of you might respond by saying, well, we don't really get all that many main alien characters in the original trilogy, but I'd remind you that George Lucas was limited by the technology of the day, and yet we still got characters such as Chewie, Yoda, and Jabba the Hutt, of which the latter two especially took a great deal of time and effort to create and bring to life on screen. And then when he did get the chance, again with the prequels, he populated his galaxy with so many different actual alien characters that, for me, it ends up being one of the best parts of the prequels. It felt like Star Wars. It felt like what a strange galaxy far, far away would look like. And I know some of the stuff from the prequels looks very dated now, especially the Battle of Naboo between the Gungans and the droid army of the Trade Federation. But wow, was that ever an ambitious undertaking, the likes of which this sequel trilogy likely won't get anywhere close to doing. I mean, when you think about it, does it get any more Star Wars than a massive battle between an alien army and a droid army? And yet, so far in the sequel trilogy, all we get is humans versus humans. And if I want, I can turn on the nightly news and get as much of that as I want. I mean, just imagine if Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back had been a human because they felt a certain ethnic group here on Earth wasn't being represented well enough. Well then, simply put, it utterly changes the character and that movie, and maybe makes Yoda just another forgettable character, instead of one of the most iconic characters in the history of film. And again, diversity in movies is great, but it still should take a backseat to making the best possible movie you can. And as a white man, if I, for example, go to a movie with a predominantly black cast and walk out of the movie grumbling, well, I couldn't relate to any of the characters because none looked like me, that's not a problem with the movie, that's a problem with me. Same goes for anybody of any race that goes and sees a movie and doesn't have someone who looks just like them in it and complains about it. This isn't implying there's a problem with movies on the whole, it's implying there's a problem with our society. And until we can be more like the characters in Star Wars, who don't seem to have an issue with people depending on their race, gender, or even species in their case, we're always going to have a problem in society. And changing the movies we love in an effort to try and fix it is never going to work. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think. Is there a lack of aliens in this new trilogy, or am I just crazy? And is it the film industry's responsibility to give us diversity, or ours to be more accepting of what we do get? And by no means am I advocating going back to the days of movies filled with predominantly white male characters. But are we maybe making too big of a deal out of it and thus ruining movies? And yes, I know this is not the normal Thor Skywalker topic or video, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this. So leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.